Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Conversations with Annassa. So happy to be here with you this morning. So, I'm going to share with you a rather esoteric meditation that is one that I've been practicing to align myself with the stars and the planets for some months now. And I think it's worthwhile if you're interested in doing that. So I'm just going to share it for those of you who are interested. And it will be up on the website, so you don't have to worry about trying to write it down because it's a little bit complicated. And it takes some understanding of Vedic astrology for it to really make sense. But I'm still going to talk about it in its entirety as I teach you the experience of it, so that if you really want to learn it, you can. So, and the value of it is that you can begin to align yourself with the planets and the luminaries, the sun and the moon, and the shadow planets, Rahu and Ketu, which are the eclipse points. You can begin to align your own spiritual mechanism with these powers that have a lot of influence over us and how we behave, whether we know it or not. So take your attention inside, and we'll start with the ground of our being, which is actually Rahu, the northern eclipse point. Rahu is spelled R-A-H-U. And it's a point in space and time that is continuously moving. And it's where, if there were to be an eclipse today, it's where it would happen. So Rahu is the ground that we walk on. And Ketu, its opposite point, the south node of the moon, is the moksha point or enlightenment, which is at the top of our halo. So we can visualize those 2 points, and then we'll begin to fill everything else in between. So feel into the connection with our physical biome, which is the energetic bubble that we live in, where that meets the ground, where that intersects with the ground, is Rahu. So feel into that place. And don't worry about where it is in the sky. That's not important at this moment. Feel into that space and just know that it's aligned with a point in the sky. And gently bring your attention to the tip of the tailbone. And the energies that reside here are congruent with Saturn. Saturn in the Vedic sky is the furthest planet from the Earth. And if you know the Vedic chart system, Saturn rules both Capricorn and Aquarius. So we move slightly up to the sex chakra. And this chakra is inhabited partially by Venus. By Mars, which is exalted in Capricorn. Sorry for that, Mars. Is in the sex chakra. Then we move slightly higher. And Jupiter appears. Venus is exalted in Jupiter, in Pisces, ruled by Jupiter. So that appears just above. And Jupiter is about expansion. So Venus and Jupiter are intermingled. Then we move just below the belly button. And again, Mars appears. And the exalted sign, the exalted planet in Mars is Sun. So just below the belly button, we see the sun, completely yellow. Then we move to the heart center, which is Venus. And in Libra, ruled by Venus, is Saturn exalted. Saturn is what holds Venus to the ground of our being. So that we don't just float off in love, but we hold it in ourselves and among and between us on this plane. And then gently our attention rises to the throat center. And this is Mercury. Mercury is the speech and communication center. And Mercury is exalted in its own sign, Virgo. So this is pure Mercury in the throat center. And then we take our attention to the third eye, which is the moon. The moon rules Cancer. And then the top of our head with this beautiful flower with 1,000 petals opening to the sun. The sun rules Leo. And then to the top of our aura, where our fingers would touch if we made a halo around our head. This is Ketu, the south node of the moon. So feel your energy rising up your central channel. And then it's almost as if it sprays out the top of your head and then goes in 360 degrees around your entire body, coming up again through the earth. And we'll speak each of the centers and their corresponding placements in the sky one more time. So where the earth intersects with our human biome is Rahu, the ground that we walk on. The tip of our tailbone is Saturn. Our sex center is Mars. Then we have Jupiter, the planet of abundance and spiritual growth, along with Venus, the planet of love. Sun, just below our belly button. Jupiter, filling our Buddha belly. Venus, opening our hearts. Mercury, informing our speech with wisdom. Moon, beaming into our third eye. Sun, receiving itself into the open flower at the top of our head. Ketu, the south node of the moon, signifying enlightenment. allow yourself to bask for a few moments in these planetary energies. As you're ready, bring yourselves back to this plane of awareness. And we'll take your questions. We're so delighted to be with you this morning. So we know this was a little bit confusing because the planetary energies are interwoven throughout our being. So some of what we talked about involves repetition of different planetary energies. And it takes some knowledge and awareness to understand how they interact. But we thought it might be a starting place because, as we have said many times, just because we don't know about planetary influences doesn't mean they don't affect us. And so even a rudimentary knowledge can begin to allow us to experience our connection to at least our own solar system and widen our perceptive capacity to at least our solar system, so that we're not limited to our own bubble of internal and external experience. And begin to expand our awareness to what's really influencing us. And it's interesting that in previous cultures, when technology was not such a foundation, and we're not against technology, not the slightest bit. But when there was time and energy to pay attention to the internal workings of our energetic mechanism and its connection to the field of our being, then these complex understandings of energetic interplay were articulated by cultures thousands of years ago. And so what hasn't changed is the power of these connections over us. But what has changed is our awareness of our integration with these powers. And so because we have a lack of awareness, we are left a bit powerless in our ability to understand the forces that are influencing our interpretation of our experience. Which doesn't mean that we think all of you should learn everything about astrology. But it is helpful to know enough about your own astrology to begin to participate in what appear to be the strengths and challenges from your own astrology, because it's a way of gathering information. Now, last week we promised we weren't going to say anything about astrology, and then here we are. So, what does Rebecca know about what's coming? Not much. So, we welcome your questions and are happy to participate